Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our forum discussion titled Masculinity Crisis, with the subtopic Boy Manhood on the Manosphere, Performative Cynicism, and in Boys We Forgot to Check On. I'm SYIFAA, your moderator for today's session. Joining me, our panelists, MUHAMAD, WIDAD, ELLYSHA, and SHAHIRAN, who will be sharing their thoughts and perspective on this topic. Without further ado, let us begin with our first question. Question 1. Many young boys are turning to the manosphere for advice on masculinity, relationships, and success. Do you think the manosphere helps young boys find guidance, or does it give them the wrong ideas about being a man?
I think the manosphere can help some boys because it offers advice on confidence, fitness, and also self-improvement. Many young men join these communities because they feel understood and also supported. According to the article, We're Getting the Manosphere All Wrong, and Here's Why from 2025, many boys are actually looking for mentorship and a sense of belonging.
I understand your point, Mara, but I think the problem is that some of this advice comes with unhealthy messages. Pearson, 2026, explains that the manosphere can shape ideas about masculinity in ways that encourage extreme views and unrealistic expectations about being a man.
I agree with WIDAD. While boys may join this space for support, the manosphere often takes advantage of their insecurities. Roberto 2021 found that boys who felt their masculinity was threatened were more likely to engage with misogynistic content. So instead of solving their problems, it may make them worse.
That's a fair point. However, not all manosphere content is harmful. Some creators genuinely encourage discipline, goal setting, and personal growth. We shouldn't just assume that every community within the manosphere is negative.
I agree with both sides. Some content can be helpful, but some can be harmful depending on how it's consumed. The study, Masculinity Development in the Manosphere, an ecological system perspective, suggests that masculinity influenced by family, friends, schools, and online communities. So, the manosphere is only one factor.
That's true, Shira. But because social media is such a big part of young people's life, harmful messages can spread very quickly if boys don't have positive role models everywhere.
Exactly. That's why boys need healthier spaces where they can talk about their struggles without being exposed to resentment or toxic ideas about relationships.
Thank you, everyone. To summarize, Myra pointed out that the manosphere can provide boys with guidance, confidence, and a sense of belonging. However, WIDAD and ELLYSHA emphasized that some manosphere content may promote harmful views about masculinity and relationships. Shira added that the manosphere is only one of many influences on a boy's development. Overall, while the manosphere may offer support, it is important for boys to have access to healthy role models and positive sources of guidance. Next, the phrase "the boys we forgot to check on" suggests that many young men feel emotionally neglected. Do you think society pays enough attention to the mental health and emotional needs of boys?
I think support is available today more than ever before. The real issue is whether boys feel comfortable using these resources. Studies show that many young men avoid seeking help because of stigma and fears of appearing weak, written by Sadler.
I agree that stigma is a major problem, ELLYSHA. However, I think boys avoid seeking help because society still expects them to be strong and also independent. According to Scientific American, in our narrow view of masculinity is hurting boys from 2025, traditional masculine expectations can negatively affect boys' emotional well-being.
That's a good point, Myra. I think society is becoming more aware of boys' mental health, but those traditional expectations haven't completely disappeared. Andrea Wellings from 2020 study on masculinity and emotional expression shows that society is still debating how boys should deal with emotions and mental health challenges.
I understand your concerns, but I think we should also recognize the progress that has been made. Compared to the past, there are now more discussions, research, and support programs focused on men's mental health. Sharp and others, 2025, note that men's mental health has received increasing attention in both research and healthcare.
I agree with WIDAD that progress has been made. However, simply providing support isn't enough if boys still feel uncomfortable reaching out for help.
That's why I think both awareness and cultural change are important. We need to encourage boys to speak openly while also ensuring that support systems remain accessible and welcoming.
Thank you, everyone. In short, Elisha and Widad highlighted that support and awareness for boys' mental health have improved over time. Unlike Myra and Shira, they pointed out that stigma and traditional expectations of masculinity still make it difficult for many boys to express their emotions and seek help. Ultimately, while progress has been made, society must continue creating an environment where boys feel comfortable reaching out for support. Lastly, some online influencers encourage performative cynicism, appearing emotionally detached, pessimistic, or overly tough. Is social media changing the way boys see masculinity in a positive or negative way?
I think the impact depends on the individual and the content they consume. Social media can expose boys to positive role models and supportive communities, but it can also promote harmful stereotypes. According to Teen Talk, the good, the bad, and the neutral of adolescent social media use 2024, social media has mixed effects because experiences vary from person to person.
I agree that experiences differ, but I think the negative effects are becoming more noticeable. Many boys are exposed to content that suggests men should always be tough, dominant, and emotionally detached. A 2025 report by Common Sense Media found that many adolescent boys regularly encounter problematic gender stereotypes online.
I agree with Myra. What worries me is that this content is often disguised as motivation or self-improvement. Tanner and Gillard in 2035 explained that Sigma masculinity content encourage boys to appear emotionally distant and always in control.
That's true, but I think we should also give young people some credit. Many boys understand that influencers are creating online personas. They do not necessarily copy everything they see online.
I see your point, Elisha. But younger teenagers may not always recognize the difference. If they constantly see the same messages, it can still shape their views of masculinity.
That's why digital literacy is important. Boys need to learn how to evaluate online content critically instead of accepting everything they see as reality.
Exactly. Social media itself is not a problem, but harmful content can become a problem when boys lack guidance and positive role models.
I agree. If boys are supported by family, schools, and healthy communities, they are more likely to separate unrealistic online performances from real life masculinity.
Thank you, everyone. To sum up, Shira highlighted that social media can have both positive and negative effects depending on the content boys consume. Myra and Vida expressed concerns that some online trends promote unhealthy and unrealistic ideas of masculinity. Meanwhile, Elisha pointed out that many boys are capable of thinking critically about online content. In conclusion, social media can shape boys' views of masculinity, making digital literacy guidance, and positive role models more important than ever. Thank you to all panelists. In conclusion, while boys face challenges around masculinity, mental health, and online influences, support systems and awareness are key in helping them cope. Thank you.